In this video, we'll talk about 10 real ghosts that are hard to believe exist. You'll learn about poltergeists, demons, shadow people, and other mystical entities that terrify people around the world. We'll share chilling phenomena that could be happening right before your eyes. Subscribe to Grim Night and hit the like button to make sure you don't miss the scariest and most mysterious stories. Make yourself comfortable. We're starting. Ghost first. Poltergeist. A poltergeist, also known as a noisy spirit, is one of the most frightening and mysterious types of ghostly phenomena. Unlike other types of ghosts, a poltergeist can affect the physical environment, causing objects to move, strange noises, and even spontaneous fires. This activity often begins with minor incidents that are easy to dismiss as coincidence, but over time they intensify, causing real terror for those who encounter the poltergeist. Poltergeists often appear in homes where teenagers reside, especially during periods of emotional turmoil or stress. Some researchers associate this with the theory that a poltergeist is actually an unconscious psychic energy of a living person that can influence the surrounding world. Such cases may start with light tapping on walls, minor vibrations, or unexplainable noises. However, over time, the activity can become more aggressive. Objects begin to move on their own, loud noises are heard, and spontaneous fires can occur. One of the most famous examples of a poltergeist is the Enfield family case in England, which occurred in the late 1970s. Unexplainable activity started in the house. Chairs moved by themselves, objects fell from shelves, and doors slammed shut. The family was so frightened that they contacted the local police and then paranormal investigators. Soon, the strange events became more sinister. Voices could be heard, distorting the vocal cords of one of the daughters, and the bed she slept on began to move on its own. Although no explanation was found for all these occurrences, this case remains one of the most well-known in the history of paranormal investigations. Another case took place in the United States, at the Bell family home in Tennessee in the early 19th century. Known as the Bell Witch, the phenomenon included a range of activities, such as knocking on walls, pillows being thrown from beds, and even physical attacks on family members. It was believed that the poltergeist was caused by a spirit who was displeased with some event in the family's life. The activity ceased only after the death of the family head, John Bell, which added even more mystery to the case. A poltergeist is one of the most unexplainable and terrifying manifestations of paranormal activity. Sometimes it stops as suddenly as it started, but in other cases its occurrences can persist for years, leaving people in a state of constant stress and fear. The second ghost, demon. Demons are powerful, supernatural beings that have been subjects of fear and myth in cultures around the world for centuries. Their depictions range from sinister shadows to terrifying entities capable of inflicting physical and psychological harm. Demons can invade homes, attach themselves to objects, and torment people both spiritually and physically. While they can take on any form, they are most often seen as black masses standing in doorways, creating an eerie atmosphere and a sense of threat. There are countless stories about demons inhabiting specific locations, instilling fear and anxiety in people. For example, there is a legend about a demon named Lilith, who is portrayed in the folklore of many cultures as a female spirit that can instill terror and harm newborns and mothers. According to legends, Lilith can take the form of an attractive woman to lure her victims into a trap before revealing her true nature. This story is believed to serve as a warning that not everything that appears beautiful is good. In another well-known case in the house in Amityville, New York, the Lutz family faced a blatant demonic presence. Their home was filled with strange noises, moving objects, and frightening visions. Reports indicate that demons could invade the consciousness of family members, causing them inexplicable fits of rage and fear. Over time, the family began to feel physically and emotionally drained, and it was only after the intervention of priests that the demons were expelled from their home. Demons can also coexist in a single location, forming clusters. This is due to energies that block their transition to other dimensions. People who have become victims of demons often report feeling possessed, with their conscious energy being controlled by these entities. Victims may not realize what is happening to them until they start to notice changes in their behavior or condition. For example, individuals suffering from demonic possession may experience sudden mood swings, aggression, or even physical pain. Demons possess greater power than other ghosts because they inhabit the physical bodies of their victims, allowing them to move objects and cause harm to people. Due to their ability to manipulate and control consciousness, these dangerous beings should never be challenged or provoked, as they are capable of killing. In some cultures, demons are depicted as fallen angels or spirits that have been cast out of heaven. These entities carry malice and a desire for destruction. Believers in such myths assert that demons feed on negative energy, and the more fear they induce, the stronger they become. There are various methods of protection against demons, including prayers, sacred rituals, and amulets that serve as shields against their influence. Many accounts and legends of encounters with demons exist in the world. Each story evokes fear and trepidation, serving as a reminder that the world may conceal more than it appears. Demons remain one of the most frightening aspects of the paranormal, compelling individuals to confront their deepest fears and unsolved mysteries. The third ghost. Animal ghosts. Animal ghosts are one of the most touching and unusual phenomena in the world of paranormal research. Although they can sometimes appear as ghostly silhouettes or translucent forms, these spirits are most often known by sounds that cannot be explained rationally. These may include scratching on doors or walls, whining, barking, or footsteps on the floor. Some believe that these spirits belong to pets who were very attached to their owners during their lifetime and could not leave this world even after death. Animal ghosts most often appear in places where they lived, especially if their death was sudden or they experienced strong emotions before passing away. In such cases, spirits may manifest to feel their owner's presence once more, or simply return to their favorite place. In some houses, pet owners have reported hearing characteristic sounds attributed to their deceased pets. For example, the footsteps of a dog in the kitchen or the soft purring of a cat on the couch. One such case occurred in England, in an old mansion where the owners claimed to hear the barking of a dog, even though there were no living pets in the house. The ghost was believed to belong to an old hunting dog who had died in the house several decades ago. Sometimes the owners would hear its steps on the wooden floors or feel a slight cold breeze nearby, as if the dog had approached them. Although no one ever saw the ghostly silhouette, the sounds were so distinct that people had no doubt that the spirit of the dog was still roaming the house. Another story, which took place in the United States, tells of a woman who lost her beloved cat to illness. For several months after its death, she continued to hear the cat scratching at the bedroom door, as it had done in life to be let inside. She also felt something soft jump onto her bed and settle down to sleep next to her, just as her cat always did. These manifestations ceased only after the woman decided to hold a farewell ritual during which she expressed her love and thanked her pet for the years they had spent together. After that, the sounds and sensations disappeared, as if the cat had finally found peace. In some cultures, animal ghosts are considered protectors who continue to watch over their owners even after death. In Japan, for example, it is believed that the spirits of foxes who die in a home can become guardians of the family hearth and bring good fortune. At the same time, there are stories of ghostly horses appearing at the sites of old battlefields, serving as a reminder of heroic or tragic events from the past. Animal ghosts often evoke feelings of tenderness rather than fear, especially for those who were close to the deceased pet. Their presence is a reminder that the bond between living beings can be so strong that it does not end even after death. The fourth ghost. Interactive personality. The interactive personality is the most commonly encountered type of ghost in paranormal stories. This spirit appears as a deceased person, retaining their traits and personality even after death. Such ghosts often manifest as deceased friends, family members, or even famous historical figures. Their purpose is usually to communicate with the living, whether to provide comfort, deliver an important message, or simply to let people know that they are still present. An interactive personality can manifest in various ways. The most common signs include the appearance of a visual image of the spirit, sounds, such as whispers or footsteps, smells like perfume or cigar smoke, or even physical touches. These ghosts can maintain awareness of current events and may even display emotions. For example, the spirit of a recently deceased loved one might come to their relatives to comfort them during difficult times, providing a sense of presence and showing that they still care. It is believed that such ghosts continue to retain their individuality and even attachments to certain places or people. They may appear in the home where they lived or where significant events occurred during their lifetime. Some suggest that they return to correct past mistakes or complete unfinished business. At the same time, not all encounters are pleasant. Occasionally, interactive personalities may exhibit aggressive emotions, especially if they had a troubled or tragic life. Some paranormal experts believe that interactive ghosts are essentially imprints of the human mind that remain in the environment. They can act of their own will, seeking to attract attention or try to help the living. The fifth ghost. The ghostly mist. The ghostly mist, also known as ectomist, is a mysterious phenomenon often observed in places associated with historical events or tragic incidents. Paranormal researchers believe that this type of ghost appears as a cloud resembling steam or smoke that hovers several feet above the ground. Ectomist can be white, gray, or black, and often looks like a swirling, moving mass. Its unusual properties and ability to appear in various locations make it one of the most intriguing forms of ghostly manifestations. Most commonly, ghostly mist is seen in places connected with strong emotions or tragedies. Cemeteries, battlefields, old houses, and historic buildings. The ectomist can appear suddenly and disappear just as abruptly, leaving behind a sense of coldness or unexplainable unease. It is sometimes spotted on streets or in forests, and it can move at different speeds, from slow drifting to rapid movement, creating the impression that it has a life of its own. Some believe that ectomist is the spirit of a person who could not find peace after death and remains connected to the world of the living. Unlike more traditional ghosts that appear as human figures, ghostly mist does not have distinct contours or recognizable features. It can change shape, expand or contract, spread across the ground, or rise upwards, as if seeking to attract attention. Stories of encounters with ectomist are often linked to mysterious events, disappearing objects, strange sounds, and even the feeling that someone invisible is watching you. Despite its seemingly harmless nature, this phenomenon sometimes evokes strong emotions in witnesses, fear, anxiety, or even a sense of paralysis. Many researchers believe that ectomist may be a kind of transitional form of a spirit, existing on the border between the material and spiritual worlds. It might represent a sort of residual energy or an attempt by a spirit to materialize. Ghost number 6. Orbs. Orbs are one of the most mysterious and frequently encountered anomalies associated with paranormal phenomena. These translucent balls of light, usually blue or white, appear in photographs and seem to float above the ground. Their presence always sparks interest and debate, as they can be seen in historical locations, modern buildings, forests, and even cemeteries. Some believe that orbs represent the souls of deceased people or animals who continue their journey in the world of the living. It is thought that the shape of orbs allows them to move easily, making them resemble glowing, energetic entities swiftly gliding through the air. Thanks to their round shape, orbs can move very quickly and change direction, as if they have a life of their own. They are often spotted in places with high ghost activity or where tragic events have occurred. The appearance of an orb may be accompanied by a feeling of coldness, strange sounds, or even the sensation that someone is watching you. Orbs can vary in size, from small glowing spots to large ones as big as a soccer ball. Some researchers believe that the color of an orb may indicate its nature or the emotions the spirit is experiencing. For example, blue orbs are often associated with peaceful or friendly spirits, while white ones may signify neutral entities. Sometimes, orbs are observed in old photographs taken at places with a historical past, reinforcing the belief in their connection with spirits of the past. Many believe that orbs are a transitional form between pure energy and a full-fledged ghost. It is thought that the longer an orb remains in our world, the more it acquires human or animal characteristics, gradually transforming into a ghost with more defined shapes. These entities may stay in the form of an orb for many years, or even decades before becoming full-fledged apparitions capable of manifesting as human figures. Although skeptics argue that orbs in photographs could simply be reflections, dust particles, or droplets of moisture, paranormal enthusiasts are convinced that they are not just random spots of light. They believe that orbs are real souls continuing their journey between worlds, and each encounter with them is an opportunity to touch something inexplicable and mystical. The seventh ghost. Vortex ghosts. Vortex ghosts, also known as whirlpool ghosts, are one of the most unusual and mysterious manifestations in the world of paranormal phenomena. Most often, they are observed in houses or historical buildings with a long history or that have experienced tragic events. These ghosts appear as swirling spirals of light or mist and are usually associated with cold spots that suddenly appear in a room. It is believed that they may represent the spirits of deceased loved ones or former residents of the house who return to familiar places. Vortex ghosts can manifest as spiral-shaped whirlwinds that move through a room or remain in one place, spinning like a vortex. Their appearance is often accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, even if the room was warm just minutes before. Sometimes, witnesses also report unexplained gusts of air that seem to emanate from the ghost itself. Researchers believe that such phenomena may indicate an attempt by a spirit to manifest in the physical world by using the surrounding environment's energy. An example of such a ghost manifestation is the story of an old manor house in England, where staff and visitors repeatedly reported strange cold spots and swirling shadows in the living room. When trying to photograph the room, some images showed vague vortex-like shapes that could not be explained by ordinary causes, such as dust or light reflections. Many believed it to be the spirit of the house's former owner, who was said to be very attached to the manor and had not left it even after death. Another case occurred in the United States, in an old Victorian house that had been turned into a museum. Staff claimed that a cold spot regularly moved through one of the halls. Several visitors reported strange sensations, as if something invisible passed through them, leaving a feeling of coldness behind. When reviewing footage from security cameras, specialists noticed fleeting vortex-like shapes resembling spirals of light, which appeared for a few seconds and then disappeared. Many paranormal experts believe that vortex ghosts may be an attempt by a spirit to restore its physical form. Some even suggest that these entities can travel between worlds, using the swirling motion as a means of crossing over. The spiral shape allows the ghost to accumulate the energy needed to interact with the living. Ghost 8. Lemurs. Lemurs, or wandering malevolent spirits, are among the darkest and most terrifying spiritual entities known in folklore and paranormal phenomena. They are often associated with darkness, doom, and misfortune, bringing dread and disaster to those who encounter them by chance. These spirits are doomed to wander eternally, and their malevolence is explained by the fact that their lives were cut short prematurely, and their bodies were not properly buried. As a result, they remain trapped between worlds, devoid of peace and condemned to endless suffering. It is believed that lemurs can arise from the souls of those who died a violent death, were murdered, or died alone, without loved ones to mourn them and perform the proper burial rituals. In ancient Roman mythology, from which the term lemur originates, these spirits were considered dangerous and hostile, and the Romans held special rites to appease them and prevent the misfortunes they could bring. In folk tales, lemurs are often described as appearing as dark figures or shadows moving silently, or as distorted human forms with pale skin and hollow eyes. An example of a lemur manifestation can be found in a story from Eastern Europe, where a strange shadow was regularly seen moving at night in an abandoned house on the outskirts of a village. Villagers said that the house once belonged to a man who died alone, and his body was found only months later. He was buried without proper rites, and since then, whispers were heard, and strange shadows were seen in the house. Those who dared to enter reported a strong sense of fear and a sudden chill that enveloped them. Another story, which took place in Japan, tells of an old cemetery where a nameless tombstone was discovered. People passing by at night saw a wandering figure that seemed to be searching for something. The locals believed that it was the spirit of a person who could not find peace because his remains were buried without a ritual. This lemur was said to bring misfortune to anyone who dared to disturb its rest. Lemurs often express their anger by causing misfortunes or even illnesses among those who find themselves in their presence. Their energy is dark and cold, and their appearance rarely goes unnoticed. Sometimes it leads to sudden quarrels, disasters, or unexplained illnesses. To pacify such spirits, some cultures perform special rituals or leave offerings to soothe the malevolent spirit and give it a chance to find peace. The ninth ghost, shadow people. Shadow people are one of the most mysterious and eerie phenomena in the world of the paranormal. These ghosts are often seen out of the corner of the eye, appearing as fleeting silhouettes in darkness or dim light. When attempting to look at them more closely, they usually disappear, seemingly dissolving into the air or slipping into a corner of the room. If you are fortunate enough to see a shadow person face to face, the figure appears as an extremely dark void, a human-shaped silhouette devoid of any distinguishing features. Sometimes they may look like figures dressed in cloaks or hoods, adding even more mystique and ominousness to their appearance. There are numerous stories of encounters with shadow people, and they are not limited to a particular region or time period. These entities have been observed across various cultures and traditions, with descriptions remaining consistent. Dark silhouettes without faces or density, they emerge from the darkness into our world and vanish as suddenly as they appear. They are often seen in houses or places where tragedies occurred in the past, leading some to believe they are associated with negative energy or events that left a mark on history. One well-known case occurred in the early 2000s in a house in Pennsylvania, USA. A family who had moved into a new home began to notice strange shadows flickering in the hallways and on the staircase. The children complained that a shadow man would visit their rooms at night, simply standing in the corner and watching. One night, the mother of the family also encountered this phenomenon. Stepping into the kitchen, she saw a figure standing motionless by the wall. When she tried to approach, the shadow seemed to dissolve into the air, leaving only a feeling of icy coldness behind. After this incident, the family contacted paranormal investigators, who recorded strange temperature fluctuations and unexplained sounds in the house. Another case took place in the United Kingdom, in an old mansion where museum staff and visitors repeatedly reported seeing a cloaked figure. The ghost was usually seen at night or in dim lighting and always disappeared when someone tried to get closer. Some described it as a hooded figure that moved quickly along the walls or slipped through doors leading into dark rooms. Despite numerous reports, no one could determine who this shadow person might have been or why it appeared in that specific place. There are various theories explaining the nature of shadow people. Some believe they are residual energy from people who experienced intense emotional turmoil or died under tragic circumstances. Others suggest that shadow people could be beings from parallel worlds that accidentally intersect with ours. Another theory posits that they are projections of our own fear and subconscious, which become so strong that they begin to manifest physically. Encounters with shadow people always evoke strong emotions in witnesses, whether fear, curiosity, or even panic. Regardless of who or what they really are, shadow people remain one of the most inexplicable and frightening anomalies that people around the world experience. Ghost 10. Doppelganger. The doppelganger, or double, is one of the most mysterious and frightening phenomena found in myths and legends across many cultures. The term originates from the German language, meaning double or double walker. These ghosts are believed to exist in multiple places at once and take on the appearance of a living person. Often they look exactly like their original, the person who is still alive. This leads witnesses to swear that they saw a loved one, even though that person was actually somewhere else. Stories about doppelgangers have been told for centuries and are often associated with bad omens. It is believed that if a person sees their double, it may foreshadow misfortune or even death. One well-known example of an encounter with a doppelganger is connected with English poet John Donne, who reportedly saw the double of his wife at the moment when she was dying during childbirth, far away from him. This incident left such a strong impression on him that he described it in his letters, believing it to be a sign of tragedy. Another story about a doppelganger involves U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. He once said that he saw two reflections of himself in a mirror, one normal and the other pale and ghostly. Lincoln interpreted this as an omen of his death, thinking that the pale reflection symbolized his impending demise. A few years after this vision, he indeed met his death. Doppelgangers can manifest in various ways. Some may be seen by passers-by or acquaintances, while the real person is actually somewhere else, while others may even interact with the surroundings, behaving as if they were the real person. For example, in one French school, students repeatedly saw the doppelganger of their teacher, appearing in different parts of the building simultaneously with her. This figure could perform the same actions as the real teacher, such as writing on the board or explaining material, but it did not speak a word. Over time, more and more people became witnesses to this phenomenon, causing panic among the students and staff. In some cultures, doppelgangers are considered demons or evil spirits that intentionally create confusion or try to replace a person. In others, they are viewed as a kind of reflection of a person's inner state, their unexpressed emotions or hidden aspects of their personality that manifest physically. In any case, encounters with doppelgangers rarely leave people indifferent, as they provoke deep feelings of anxiety and fear. Parapsychologists and researchers of anomalous phenomena offer various theories about the origin of doppelgangers. Some believe this is a phenomenon associated with temporal and spatial distortions, allowing a person to see themselves in another location. Others suggest that it may be projections of the subconscious or spirits that take on the appearance of a living person. Regardless of what the scientific explanation may be, stories about doppelgangers continue to stir the imagination and serve as the source of numerous mystical tales and legends. Thank you for staying with me all this time. See you in a week.